Back in the mid-90s, some work came out originally from America. It was looking at people with frank disease in later life, heart attacks, strokes, MS, depression, and some very biological, so-called biological diseases. And then what it did was it correlated them with psychological and sociological questionnaires. And what they found was that there was really strong correlation between these events and the likelihood of them developing a frank disease in later life. So, for example, were your parents divorced? Was anybody in the household abusing drugs and alcohol? Did you witness often or very often domestic violence? Were you often humiliated or made to feel unimportant? There are 10 of these markers, and the more we have, the higher the risk of disease in later life. Now, for example, if we have an ACE score of 3, which isn't that difficult to get, then the statistics show that you're 386% more likely to suffer a stroke or a heart attack in later life. Now that's pretty powerful. So these things that happen to us can be initiated in our early years. We can look at how that happens through the biology. If the potential is there, plus the environment, then that will lead to it being manifested. Also, of course, I've mentioned before about my own journey with chronic pericarditis, autoimmune problems, chronic inflammatory pathologies as a result of overwhelm to the nervous system and patterning in the body of trauma and nervous system dysregulation that can cause changes in the physiology and potentially be part of what's creating these ACE scores that we see. What if we could do something at grassroots to be able to fix that, to mean that we don't have down the line quite so much disease to have to try to deal with? We're putting fires out again in the healthcare system rather than looking at root cause. The cost of this in the United States annually is £401 billion. I mean, that's a lot of money, and that's a huge amount. Now that makes up child welfare, healthcare, special education and needs, mental health support, and the general well-being in life index. If we have an ACE score of 6, which is admittedly quite high, the statistics are that our life expectancy will be reduced by 20 years. That's huge, just because of these events. Now, that all sounds rather damning, but the good news is we can do something about it. So I was working with somebody only yesterday, and it's a common story I see. And this lady, as we would literally just beginning to do this work, she became tearful because she was trying to be strong for her son, because she was dealing with her own grief and the beginnings of understanding some early childhood trauma and the impact that it was having on her chronic issues today. Because she was concerned that she'd affected her children. And I said, well, whether we have or we haven't, the point is that from this point forward, you're going to be changed. And if you change you now, then you are changing your interactions and your potential for your children from this point on. And so that can only be a good thing. So it's never too late to create change. I think that any change that we're making has to have an impact going forwards. And I believe that the impact of dropping one little stone into the pond creates ripples much, much further out than we can possibly imagine. And as Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. And I think that's a powerful expression. If we change one, and if I change and work with one life, then what is that doing for their children? And does that arrest something for the next generation? And I believe we have the potential to do that. Hi, I'm Roger. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons.